The U.S. State Department has approved the sale of F-16 training and technical support and related equipment to Ukraine for $310.5 million, the Pentagon's Defense Security Cooperation Agency reported on its website. The State Department said it had notified Congress that it had approved the sale of F-16 equipment, pilot training, and aircraft maintenance services to Ukraine. The decision must now be approved by the U.S. Congress. The package includes modifications and modernization of aircraft, staff training, operation and maintenance, spare parts and consumables, repair and supply of ground equipment, support for classified and unclassified software, transfer of classified and unclassified documentation, publications and technical data, conducting research and reviews, engineering, technical and logistics services from the U.S. government and contractors. It is important that the list also includes other elements that provide full logistical support. Earlier, the war zone reported that the United States of America sent decommissioned F-16 fighters to Ukraine. The planes can only be used as donors of spare parts. In this case, a bill on devastating new sanctions against Russia in the U.S. Senate has the support of 72 congressmen. It involves 500% tariffs on imports from countries that buy Russian oil, petroleum products, natural gas, or uranium. In addition, these sanctions would prohibit U.S. citizens from buying Russian government bonds. This was stated by President Donald Trump's key ally in the U.S. Senate, Republican Lindsey Graham, Bloomberg writes. Laws in the United States are made by Congress. The developments are also straining relations between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has been avoiding a peaceful resolution to the Ukraine conflict.
The United States of America sent decommissioned F-16 fighters to Ukraine. The planes can only be used as donors of spare parts. This was reported by the War Zone, citing footage of partially disassembled aircraft being loaded onto a Ukrainian AN-124 transport plane in Arizona. According to onboard trackers, it was heading to Poland. The U.S. Air Force noted that the U.S. supported the Europeans' donation of F-16s to Ukraine by providing Ukraine with decommissioned and completely inoperable F-16s for spare parts. Notably, these aircraft cannot be restored for operational use because they lack critical components. For example, this could be an engine or radar. Evidence that the F-16s were headed specifically to Ukraine emerged last week, when photos began circulating on social media showing at least 3 shrink-wrapped F-16s, missing their wings, tails and engines, being loaded onto an Antonov AN-124 at Tucson International Airport in Arizona. Flight number UR82027 landed there on April the 25th and took off the next day for Poland's Rzeszów-Jasionka Airport, a hub for Western military aid to Ukraine. Evidence indicated that the United States had supplied these aircraft to Ukraine, although there had been no official confirmation of this so far. There was also the possibility that they were intended for use by Poland, perhaps for spare parts or ground training. Poland is also an F-16 operator, although these aircraft are the much more advanced Block 52 Plus F-16C/D compared to the A/B models that Ukraine uses. TWZ adds, international partners have transferred several batches of F-16 fighters to Ukraine to counter Russian aggression. The exact number of aircraft transferred is not disclosed. Recently, U.S. European Command General Christopher Cavoli said that Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine should receive additional American F-16 fighters from partners. The general recalled that the Ukrainian Air Force already has F-16s and pilots who know how to operate them. The fighters are actively used to repel Russian massive shelling and attacks on the occupiers' positions. There are more F-16s getting ready to deploy. There are more pilots getting trained. Cavoli stressed that most of the fighters came from northern European countries and the United States did not transfer a single one. In addition, the Ukrainian Air Force received the first French Mirage 2000 fighters in February 2025, as reported by French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu. He did not name the number of aircraft delivered. In April 2025, the unmanned systems units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces hit and destroyed more than 83,000 enemy targets with drones. This figure is 8% more than in March, meaning the effectiveness of the destruction increased by another 5%. This was announced by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, at the monthly meeting on unmanned systems. He emphasized that UAV operators have achieved decent results in destroying the enemy. I am grateful to our soldiers for their effectiveness, but today's high-tech war requires constant movement forward, even higher efficiency, and scaling up efforts in the direction of drones, the general added, according to Oboz Revitel. The meeting was attended by commanders of UAV units. In their speeches, they shared their unique experience in using drones and achieving the best results. Syrsky emphasized that it is their combat experience, organizational and technological know-how, as well as proposals for solving problematic issues that are the most valuable in such events. The UAV direction is a priority for us as it allows us to deter the enemy and destroy him at a distance, preserving the life and health of our infantry, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine noted. According to him, the Defense Forces are currently working on tasks to scale the BFS units to brigades and regiments, staff them and build capabilities. The volume of professional training of UAV operators in training centers is also increasing, as is the development of interaction between the army and the public sector, in particular training of drone operators in civilian schools. Oboz Revitel says. In addition, the armed forces of Ukraine have developed a roadmap for the formation of a collective training system for UAV units. The primary task of the defenders is to destroy Russian drone operators and their control points. The Commander-in-Chief emphasized that the unmanned systems forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine successfully tested the methods of such combat in the operational zone of one of the operational tactical groups. But the enemy is also not asleep, so Ukrainians have no right to underestimate the successes of the Russian aggressor in the field of unmanned systems. We must maintain the high pace we have set and stay ahead of the enemy in the field of implementing modern technological solutions on the battlefield, using all capabilities of our army, society, defense industrial complex, as well as the assistance partner countries, Syrsky concluded.